We have a great presentation for you, and I want to welcome you all and thank you for joining us for this workshop, How to Overcome the 3 Most Common Workplace Challenges. I'm Glenn Lubert, co-founder of Be Your Own Best Coach, which is a 5-week group coaching program to develop self-leadership skills and habits to accelerate your career and boost your well-being. I'll be guiding you through today's session along with my colleague and fellow co-founder, Dr. Deborah Teplow. Hi, Deborah.
Hello, and welcome everybody.
And also joining us tonight is Christina Potenza. She'll be managing the chat and helping things go smoothly behind the scenes, like admitting people as they are joining. Today's session is going to be just one look into the transformative cohort-based course we do called Be Your Own Best Coach. And at the end of the session, we have an exciting exclusive announcement for everyone here. So let's get started. In the next 30 minutes, you'll be able to learn the 2 questions you can ask that will free you from stress, give you the confidence to tackle procrastination and overwhelm, and help you turn around difficult relationships with bosses and coworkers. So let me switch back over to our slide deck again here. And just give you a quick overview that we're going to go over what's wrong with the question why. That's the big piece here. The problem isn't the problem, is we're going to talk about what's wrong with the question why and what to do instead. That's going to be our big learning today. And then what next steps you can take. We'll also be doing, we're also going to do a breakout room maybe. There's only a few people, so we might just do it all live in one room. So ideally, everyone has their camera on. That's great to participate and help with your connection with everybody. But before we dive in, we want to start with a poll. So Christina, could you launch our poll? So go ahead and answer the question of what is your biggest work-related problem in this list. And all along, if you have any questions throughout this presentation, put it in the chat and we'll get to the questions after the exercise. What is your biggest work-related problem?
Okay.
Or how about in the past, David? What's been your... you don't get off. You have to answer.
Right, and if none of these are relevant to today, well, what has it ever been a problem for you?
Yes.
Management of priorities. Okay. Okay. We should add one. All right, David, thank you.
All right, go ahead. You can go ahead and end the poll.
Okay. So procrastination, yeah, lack of specificity, sometimes too much, narrow definition. So varied, plus procrastination. Okay.
Yeah, and in our last poll, overwhelm really also was high on the list too as well for the group. We had a much larger group on Thursday, so that gives us.
I think it was pretty well divided among or distributed among these. Cool. All right. So let's dive right in. So let's talk about the 5 whys. And the 5 whys is an iterative, interrogative technique, questioning technique used to explore cause and effect, relationships underlying a particular problem. And this is developed several decades ago. It really took the kind of corporate world industry by fire. The primary goal of the technique is to determine the root cause or of the problem or the root cause of a defect by repeating the question why. And through some research, it was found that you needed to ask five times why. It seemed that 5 was the magic number based on observational or anecdotal observation. But not all problems have a single root cause. So if you want to really uncover multiple root causes, you need to use this method repeatedly. So let's go on. And so the root cause produces symptoms which add up to the problem. So if you look from the lower right up, you can see that the root cause on the left causes symptoms, that causes a symptom, that causes symptom, causes symptom, and then you get to the problem. And if you ask the why question, then you'll get an understanding of how these symptoms arose. So you trace back from that problem through the symptoms to get to the root cause. Sounds great. It actually worked pretty well in industry and in the settings in which it originated. But what's wrong with why when we're looking at human issues, human challenges like overwhelm or procrastination or lack of specificity or challenges with setting priorities? Well, the problem is that asking why, doing root cause analysis works great for machines and manufacturing, but the problem is that when you use why to find the root cause of a problem, when it comes to human endeavor, it inevitably comes to blame and finding fault. So you can see this, why were you caught speeding? Because you were late to work. Now you have to reveal you were late to work. Why are you late to work? You got up late, and then you have to reveal, well, how come you got up late? Well, the alarm clock didn't work. Okay, well, how come? Because it had dead batteries. Well, why? Well, because I screwed up. I forgot to replace them. So, feeling beaten down or beaten up and having a spotlight illuminate the worst of your flaws, it's hard to stomach, and it overlooks the many complex factors that influence human behavior. So, why is about the past. We think that by figuring out the cause of the problem, we can make our future better. But that's not necessarily true, because people are very complex. There's so many factors that influence us. And also, we're not perfect. Now, when you look at problems, it means that we don't even do our problem perfectly. We can do something really terribly, and that we could call that doing the problem, to the ultimate. But we're not perfect, so sometimes the problem isn't as bad as it could be. Sometimes the problem doesn't last as long. Sometimes we don't even do our problem when it could have been done. So what can we do instead of digging down and going down that rabbit hole of blame, of fault, of deficit? So what we can do is actually to ask different questions. And we promised 2 questions, and that is what and how. But we also just snuck in a when, so consider that a bonus. So these questions, what, how, and when, are about the past in a way that informs the future and nurtures it. So here are some examples of how you use these 2 questions, not as a fault finding, but in essence as a success promising exercise. Let's take what. What about the past points the way towards a better future for you? And let's see how we can do that. How have you succeeded in the past? What have you done to avoid the problem in the past? What are you doing when the problem isn't so bad? How did you manage to get the problem from being even worse? What did you do to prevent the problem from being even worse? When has it worked even just a little better and the problem wasn't such a barrier? Or when was a time when the problem didn't even happen at all and it could have?
All right. So we want to do an exercise to help illustrate this and allow you for an opportunity to explore that question. So an example would this be thinking of a time when procrastination, overwhelm, conflict, having trouble setting priorities, specificity. Think of a time when you had this problem. So think back of a time when you had this problem. So it could have been a time when you started to procrastinate, but changed course and took an action sooner than you would have if you had done a full-blown procrastination. Or it could have been a time when you didn't procrastinate at all and moved right into the action in a way that worked best for you. So think back to one of those times. All right, welcome. Everyone's back. We got the breakout rooms to work somewhat, and everyone got to share. I would like to, if since we have a small group, share perhaps what surprised you in the conversation that you had.
It's more pleasant to think about how you're succeeding, and it's a different kind of energy, I thought, when we are focused on that.
Can you say more a little bit about that? What the energy?
So it's more about how you are going to make progress, move forward, as opposed to necessarily being stuck in the history of something. However legitimate it might be, it's not to underplay its importance, but it's more to take from it and build on it and go forward. So it was kind of a positive momentum as I was recounting my story. And I got the same feeling from Hope as well when she was speaking.
Thanks so much, Raj.
Yeah.
Hope, did you want to share? What surprised you?
I think it's also, I think like whenever it comes to doing like something like big projects, or maybe when it comes to doing like, for me personal, because I was talking about like it was an individual big project that I had every year, and it's actually doing report cards for students. And that tends to be the most stressful time for everybody. And that also tends to be the time where I procrastinate the most. But I think one of the things that I did for one of the times when I had to work on report cards was I stopped overthinking things. I stopped thinking about what the parents want to do. I stopped thinking about what my boss is expecting me to do. I stopped thinking about how to make the report card look good for the students. And I just kind of gotten not very straightforward. I think like when you stop overthinking so much about what everybody expects you to do or what kind of expectations you're placing on yourself, the goals or the mini goals becomes a lot clearer, and you get more clarity on how you want to approach it. And I think it's, I was actually mentioning to Raj that it becomes more specific on what you are hoping to accomplish. And everything just kind of progressed a lot quicker than I anticipated once I sort of set those goals. And when I stop overthinking so much, it becomes simpler for me to work on the report cards. Like I wasn't struggling, I wasn't procrastinating, I wasn't like, escaping by setting aside to the last minute. I suddenly have like a schedule on how many report cards I'm going to do for every week, for example. And eventually I just kind of worked my way until I've gone through all the students. So it was, I think the lesson I learned from that experience was when I stopped overthinking, then it becomes a lot easier, it becomes a lot clearer for me to figure out what I need to do and what I need to accomplish.
Deborah, you heard David talk too as well on, I was curious if you had thoughts that how these all work together.
I do. And one of the things, this sounds counterintuitive, kind of strange, is that it's a lot easier for us to move forward in a really positive way when we aren't, this sounds crazy, invested in the outcome. when we're very present. David, you use the word mindful, and it's sort of being vulnerable. David, you had an experience of an exchange with somebody where there had been some difficulty, and you put yourself instead of, I think I'm just paraphrasing, pushing for the outcome or the goal. You were curious, and you created a space of safety where two of you could work in harmony and collaborative, even when you did have differences or hope. It's like, I'm not invested in the outcome in terms of the principal or the parent or whatever. I'm going to be, present and say it. You didn't say it like it is, but it was that kind of stand above or aside. Raj, I'm not sure how that might apply to you, but when we push, we get blowback. So it's really being present and doing our best at that moment with all of our faculties, and being respectful. And David, as you said, in a conflict situation, being curious about the other person and sharing perspectives. So that's what I made out of it.
And I heard asking questions. That really helps.
Yeah.
I even phrasing, I'm curious, and then asking the question to get there.
Yeah.
All right. So we're really at the bottom of the hour. This is, we want to keep ourselves on time. We promised 30 minutes here. So just to wrap up, to remember, we recognize the key building blocks to overcoming problems that don't have to do with figuring out what went wrong by asking why to get to the blame. We work with the 2 key questions with the 3 bonus that can revolutionize how you find solutions to overcome the challenge by asking what, and what skills or strengths do you already have that can help you with your current present moment. And then how have you succeeded in the past? And we just went over a lot of different ways you succeeded in the past. And even the tiniest bit that can tell you that you have a history of success and that you can use in your problems and challenges today. And so, Deborah, do you want to wrap this up? Yeah.
So this is only the beginning of the person-centered, solution-focused story crafting method that lies at the heart of the work that we do. It's simple, but it's not easy because it goes against the grain of everything we've been taught that's really problem saturated. It's blame focused also. So we hope you'll stay in touch so you can learn more and apply more of these powerful ideas in your life. And we'd love to keep moving forward with you.
Yes, and yeah, let everyone know to check out BeYourOwnBestCoach.com, where you can find out more information about our 5-week group program, which includes more tools like this to help you develop the self-leadership skills and habits to accelerate your career and ultimately boost your well-being through it. And we're excited to announce that for the first time here, that our next cohort will begin in 1 month on May 25th. We only do 2 cohorts a year in the fall and in the spring. So our spring one begins on May 25th. And we'll soon be emailing out details to everyone on the list. So stay tuned. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at solutions@BeYourOwnBestCoach.com. And before we finish off, I wanted to just ask if you could put in the chat one word you heard yourself think or say this evening. What's one word you heard yourself think or say this evening? During this 30 minutes. One word you heard yourself think or say. Pace.
Mm-hmm. Be open to comfortable conversations. Yeah. Clarity. Nice. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Any final words, Deborah?
I just thank everybody for participating and for joining us, and stay in touch and stay in tune.
Yes, thank you everyone for listening, and stay well. Have a great night. Bye-bye.